now listening to the Zay Moore podcast.
I want to know what Zay thinks
There's
about
a few
that.
things that we got to address.
Black people got the swag. Black people set the trends. We are the culture. We got a reality star for our president. It's insane. Even if they try to erase black history out of schools, it's not going to erase black history. Because we've been here. Kendrick Lamar definitely beat Drake in that battle. Hands down. At the end of the day, I'm going to keep it real with my people. Because if we don't keep it real with each other, who will?
What's good, people? What's good? Welcome back. I want to welcome you back to a brand new episode of the Zay Moore podcast, of course. Yes, today is September 7th, and we got some things to talk about, a few things to unpack, y'all. We're going to be getting into education controversies, toy safety myths, wild political threats, and how to work effectively with AI. Does that sound like a good show for y'all? Awesome. That's what I want to hear. Make sure y'all telling y'all people about the Zay Moore podcast too. All right. I'm seeing the love. I'm seeing the support. But I want more. I want it all. So make sure y'all are out there spreading the word. And just thank you for everyone who's been on this journey with me these past 2 months. Again, we got a lot of stuff coming up. You know, I'm planning some big things that I hope will expand my reach and just allow me to become a more effective reporter for y'all. Again, I'm in the studio, so that side of me, I got the music coming, and school. I'm about to graduate with my degree, so it's a whirlwind, and I tell y'all that a lot because y'all are my fam. You feel me? So when I get on the mic, I'm talking to my family. That's just what it is. But I just can't express the gratitude enough for everybody who takes the time to listen, because I see the numbers and I see the reach, and it just warms my heart. So thank you again. All right, so now we got all the mushy shit out the way. Let's get to the show. Y'all ready? All right, so a few months ago, there was a teacher. He goes by the name of Matthew Mastronardi. Sound like a nasty deli meat. Matthew Mastronardi. He's a Spanish teacher out at West Valley High School. And he was fired for reading an uncensored passage from To Kill a Mockingbird containing the N-word. The school board unanimously voted not to renew his contract, citing inappropriateness in the Spanish class context. Mastronardi defended his actions as confronting difficult history. This raises questions of academic freedom, cultural sensitivity, and student well-being. So before we dive headfirst into it, I want you guys to take a listen to this news clip from CBS News affiliate Crim 2 News, and then we'll be right back.
And today we continue our coverage of the West Valley Spanish teacher who's been fighting to get his job back after reciting a racial slur in class from the text of To Kill a Mockingbird. Crim 2's Regan Gallo first brought you this story. She joins us now with the latest update.
The West Valley School Board meeting saw passionate public comments in support of that Spanish teacher, Matthew Mastronardi. However, in a unanimous vote decision, they decided not to renew his teaching contract.
It's a blessing to have a teacher like that.
This is a crowd with purpose.
So if I could have everybody who's here in support of Matthew stand up for a second.
Standing for a statement, students and parents came to fight for this man. Matthew Mastronardi has been fighting for his teaching job with the West Valley School District after he recited a racial slur in class when reading the book To Kill a Mockingbird aloud.
It came from a student-initiated question about the book, and it was a very thought-provoking question that, just as a professional, I felt it was necessary to address it.
In a final effort for his job, fiery testimonies were addressed to the West Valley School Board.
It's interesting how this board could jump, bam, on a word.
Many in support of Mastronardi's position.
My son and his classmates have started a petition. This has almost 2,600 names of people who say, give him his job back.
But despite the support,
listen to the kids, listen to the parents.
The West Valley School Board decided not to renew Mastronardi's teaching contract.
Mr. Mastronardi indicated that if presented the same situation, he would read from To Kill a Mockingbird again. This is insubordinate to the request of his supervisors and is an example of poor judgment.
I do think it's a good book to use, but we have gone through different ways to try to make sure that it is taught in context, and this was not.
Hayden Holdway was the student who asked the question about To Kill a Mockingbird.
I think they had their own agenda, their own ideology, their own ideas beforehand, and they cared not for what we had to say. I'm extremely disappointed at the outcome.
Following the vote, Mastronardi thanked his supporters and his students for showing up for him.
And so my charge to my students and to everybody here is think for yourself. Don't be afraid to read words as written.
Again, that was Crim 2 News. Shout out to Crim 2 News. Really, really great reporting there. That was a great clip because it gave us a lot of context, right? It gave us a lot of context into what people were thinking, how the board viewed it, how he viewed it, and how the student who asked the question felt about the whole situation. So let's break it down, right? Because there's a lot of moving pieces here. We're talking about freedom of speech. We're talking about, a word. And if you guys were listening, one of the parents said, it's so funny how the board can just jump at a word. Well, we know that that's just not some random word, right? The N-word is not a random word. It's tied to centuries of slavery, segregation, violence, and systematic racism. So teaching that without context, teaching it with context means explaining where the word came from, showing how it was used to dehumanize Black people historically, connecting it to social and political structures at the time. That wasn't that wasn't what was going on in that moment. First of all, he was a Spanish teacher, right? Although he was asked a question about the book, he was undermining the authority of the teacher, the English teacher, who gave them the instruction to skip over the word. He went on to say that this was a teachable moment. He said that he was trying to preserve historical context and literary integrity after students suggested skipping the offensive term. One student asked, "Would you read the word?" To which he replied, "Yes, I would read every word." He was unaware he was being recorded. Couldn't find the audio. Unfortunately, I really couldn't find any reports that included what the student had actually asked, because I felt like that was important, right? What question did the student ask that you felt as an educator, was so moving to you that you was like, yeah, I need to say this. Really want to know, but I couldn't find it, unfortunately. But what does it boil down to, right? Because a lot of people are saying this is an attack on his free speech, right? Well, let's break that down. While educators can rely on First Amendment protections when speaking as citizens on matters of public concern, speech conducted as part of their official duties, like reading a book out loud in class, is generally not protected under free speech. With that said, though, right, some legal cases have carved out protections from what I've seen, even within the classroom, if the content was deemed essential for instructions or on matters of public concern. But the key word here is deemed, two keywords, deemed essential. Was it essential? A lot of people say it wasn't. But moving on, courts often uphold school policies aimed at avoiding racial offense, even if administrators reasonably predict disruption or harm to the learning environment. So this was not free speech protest or a deliberate test of any sort of consequence, y'all. This was a choice. A choice that he's saying was intended to preserve, the story and truth and all this other bullshit. I don't think so. I'm glad that if you guys were listening at the end of that clip that we heard from Crim 2, one of the board members says there's ways, that you can teach this within context, and this was not one of those ways. Also, they asked him not to say that word, and him saying that he would read it out loud again was a deliberate, just like slap in the face to what the board asked him. So yeah, they said, nah, you out of here. And here's what I feel about it, right? As a Black man, because there's there was a lot of conversation I was reading online, Black people say it all the time, and oh my goodness, and I forgot to say this, y'all. So one of his responses to this was, he hears how he hears how the kids talk to each other in the halls, and he hears the music that they listen to. Let's be real, the students weren't offended. That right there goes to show you what he really just he really just wanted to say the word. That's how I feel. Because why in 2025 are we still fighting to say the word? We know what the word is tied to, and of course, yes, black people, the black community, we've taken that word and we've turned it into a word of endearment. Just like we've done that with everything else, you know, with all of the things that have been thrown at us, we found some way to make it something positive. Look at the scraps that they used to give to the slaves that are now, you know, foods that are loved across the world. So come on now, like, nah. I think that, I mean, you know, I don't say, you know, I'm glad he lost his job because it looks like he has a family, he got mouths to feed, but there are consequences. And I think that if they would have let this slide, then that would have been sending the wrong message to other educators, to other people. Like, yeah, I can just say the word all willy nilly and, you know, ignore the policies of the board. No, you can't. And that's really what it boils down to, right? This was not a free speech thing. So I want you guys to take that angle away from it. You know, as an educator, he had a job to do. He has rules to follow, and he broke those rules. And just like any of us at work, right? There's rules to follow, you know? You can't just be saying and doing whatever you want when you're working on somebody else's dime. It's just not going to work. So it was a bad move on his end. Definitely was. And I was going through, you know, some Reddit threads and things like that because I wanted to see what other people thought about it, other teachers, other educators. And I came across this one comment from Reddit user Gimme the Creeps. Funny name, right? But he said, stupid hill to die on. There's no need for a teacher to use slurs when they come up in literature or primary sources. His use of the word doesn't help bring any kind of advanced understanding to the material. And I agree. It's like, what were you, you know, he said it was a quote unquote teachable moment. What were you teaching and what were you trying to teach in that moment by saying, hey, you know, you should be able to read it out loud? Like, no, come on now. We're in 2025. That story was set in 1930 during the Great Depression. People talk differently then. You feel me? People were out of control. People are still out of control, but we have a little more coof, and teachers should have coof. You feel me? And that's not a word you should be using in the classroom. Point blank, period. And that's the end of it, you know? So to sum this story up, we ain't gonna go too much into it. To sum it up, he wasn't testing the boundaries of speech freedom. He was trying to teach with context, and it backfired. That's really what it boils down to. When the school responded with disciplinary action based on its policies and perceived risk. So teachers out there, use this as a teachable moment. No pun intended. So I was watching South Park the other day. Y'all know I'm always watching South Park. It's one of my favorite shows. And the latest episode was they were making fun of the craze over the Labubu doll. If y'all don't know anything about Labubu, well, if you got kids, I'm sure you know. But the doll is basically, you know, it's this little monster. It's like an accessory or whatever. But there's a lot of talk around the doll because, one, they are making them bootleg. That's how much they're selling. So they're making copies of them, fake copies, trying to, you know, bring in profit. And there's also like a religious demonic, I thought, you know, it was just interesting, you know, story behind it. So the Labubu dolls, designed by artist Casing Lung, are hugely popular collectibles. However, counterfeit versions dubbed Lafufus have been deemed, that's crazy, Lafufu, have been deemed unsafe by the CPSC due to choking hazards and toxic chemicals. Demonic rumors have spread online, falsely linking Labubu to Pazuzu, the Mesopotamian demon from The Exorcist. These claims are baseless. The creator intended Labubu as a mischievous but kind character rooted in Nordic folklore. Despite debunking, the panic has sparked bans and fueled internet conspiracy theories. Adding to the cultural narrative, as I did say, South Park recently satirized the Labubu craze in an episode where children summoned Satan through a Labubu ritual, leading to a surreal plot involving Trump and Satan. This parody mocked consumer obsession, TikTok culture, and political absurdities. Yeah, it was hilarious. And I actually have a fake one right here on my desk, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was sent one, and I don't want to call out the person or the sponsor that sent it to me. For you guys that don't know, I'm a collector, so I collect DC characters, horror characters, Marvel characters. Like, I have a lot of figures that cost a lot of money. Anytime the kids come to visit in the family, they be like, these are not toys. Chill. Go sit down, get on the iPad or something. This is not a toy. I know it looked like a toy, but it's not a toy. So I have a lot of collectibles, right? So, a few of my sponsors know that, and they sent me some Labubus. I got a fake one here. I know it's fake because it has more than 9 teeth. And it also doesn't have the certified label like the real ones that I have. But it kind of looks like a little monster from the movie The Gremlins. Y'all remember that old movie from back in the day? Yeah, they kind of look like that. But if you care, right, because it seems to be a craze. A lot of parents are buying them. The kids are going crazy on them. They are saying that the fake ones are hazardous. You feel me? So watch out for the little pieces because they're poorly made. They have small detachable parts, and they violate U.S. safety hazards. So how to spot the fake ones is inauthentic dolls often display non or no holographic Pop Mart sticker, lack functional QR codes, and have more than 9 teeth, as I did say. As this one that y'all can't see it right now, but I'm looking at it. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teeth. So she's a little foo-foo. CPSC officials stated these fake Labubu dolls are dangerous, illegal, and have no place in American homes. So I guess I should get rid of this. I guess I should get rid of it as soon as possible. But yeah, y'all, if y'all out here buying these Labubus, whether it's for yourself because you're a collectible or for your kids, just be safe that you don't get a little foo-foo. Because these things are being priced from anywhere from $15 up to $170,000 at auction. So they're definitely hot on the market right now. So if you are into collectibles, I would say get one. You feel me? A real one, just to have. But yeah, y'all, watch out for them lafufus. Watch out for them lafufus. All right, y'all. So next up, I do want to quickly go over Trump's Department of War threat to Chicago. President Trump threatened to rebrand the Department of Defense as the Department of War while posting an AI-generated image depicting chaos in Chicago. He hinted at deploying ICE and the National Guard. Officials like Governor J.B. Pritzker and Senator Tammy Duckworth denounced the threats as dangerous and unconstitutional. Thousands protest in Chicago, highlighting fears of federal overreach. So pretty much the same thing, he was, or he did do to Washington, undermining what they already got going on to, do what he wants to do. We're going to go over to CBS News Baltimore for the story, and I'll be right back.
Chicago could be the next city to see the National Guard troops on its streets. Tori and Small reports for WJZ as today, President Trump suggested on social media the Guard is needed in the nation's 3rd largest city to help eliminate crime.
With the summer unofficially ending,
they're invading American cities.
President Trump's battle with Democratic leaders is heating up.
Bringing troops into a city and a state that don't want those troops, they're crossing a line that hasn't been crossed in my entire lifetime.
After deploying National Guard troops in D.C., the president praised the city's mayor on social media Monday for, quote, working with him and bringing crime down to virtually nothing, urging officials in Chicago and other cities to do the same.
They need someone to help them get the dangerous criminals off their streets.
On Sunday, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem confirmed the Trump administration's plans to expand immigration enforcement in Chicago as soon as this week. But the city's mayor has already signed an executive order barring Chicago police from cooperating with federal agents.
We do not want to see families ripped apart.
The Trump administration says it's also considering sending troops to Republican-led cities as part of its crackdown on crime and immigration.
There's a lot of cities that are dealing with crime and violence right now, and so we haven't taken anything off the table.
Sunday, a federal judge blocked part of the administration's deportation plans, issuing an order to temporarily halt the deportation of unaccompanied migrant children to Guatemala as some were sitting on planes ready to take off. Lawyers argued they would be at risk of persecution if they were returned. This uncle of one of the children in Guatemala City says his nephew fled out of desperation and hopes to stay in the U.S. to study. Attorneys for the Trump administration argued the children's relatives requested the reunifications.
Again, that was CBS News Baltimore with the story, y'all. But I want to break it down and give it a little more context. I know this is literally the same story that we went over when we talked about Washington, but the question that I get a lot is, well, how does he, or how can he do this without state consent? Well, keep in mind, right, as the commander-in-chief, he is the president. So as a commander-in-chief, he controls the military, the federal authority. He can override state authority when national security, civil rights, or federal law enforcement are at stake. So keep that in mind, right? Civil rights, federal law enforcement are at stake. Normally when things like this happen, right, when the president has to step in, he's asked to, right? Like they're asked to step in. What he's doing is he's leaning heavily on this whole law and order vibe, and he's framing protest as threats, requiring strong federal response. To me, that just sounds like a silencer. You're trying to silence people, creating an atmosphere of fear so that people don't speak out. That's what it's giving. That's kind of what it's giving. It's like, I'd rather not hear what y'all are complaining about. I'd rather not fix the homelessness. I'd rather not take heed to the fact that numbers are going down. I'm just going to overstep everything y'all got going on, and I'm sending troops out there because I want to. Yeah, so if you're familiar with the Insurrection Act of 1807, this is largely how he's able to do this, for those of you that are wondering why. This law allows the president to deploy federal troops even against a state's wishes if there is civil unrest. Civil unrest, right? That's the key word here. Is there civil unrest? Did these people call for you and be like, yo, we got civil unrest, Trump. We need you to send troops out here to walk our streets. Nah, they didn't. But we won't spend too much more time on it, y'all, because, again, this is literally exactly what he did to Washington, and a lot of what we covered during that segment applies here, He's just overstepping boundaries, not taking into consideration the authorities within the states, and, just abusing his power. And that's really what it is. But I'm sure there'll be updates. I'm sure as the days go by, we will get some more info on what's going on out there in Chicago. So I'll definitely be back, and I'll let y'all know what's up. So moving on to our next story. How many of you guys use resources like Chat GPT and, all these new AI apps out there? Y'all on those? Well, I want you guys to, take heed to how much you're using them, because there's a lot of articles out here that are covering how, people are becoming too dependent on things like ChatGPT and other AI sources. The Washington Post 3 days ago, they published an article titled "Not Letting AI Master Us." It critiques overdependence on AI, warning it can dampen critical thinking, attention spans, and even cognitive skills, y'all. So what do you do, right? Do you just stop using it? I don't think so. I think it is a good extension to things like the internet, to help us get things done. But again, the goal here is working with AI instead of letting AI do everything for you. AI tools can be a powerful collaborator, enhancing creativity, boosting efficiency, and aiding research rather than replacing you. This mindset preserves agency, creativity, and nuance while still leveraging AI's strength. So here's a couple of ways that you can use AI effectively, guys. Prompt carefully. That's step one. Start with clear instructions and context. An example, would be drafting a compelling intro into this segment that I'm doing right here for you guys with an energetic tone, right? So tell it what you need, and then allow it to maybe create something. If you don't like it, you work with the AI to tweak it. Instead of saying, yo, I need an idea, you're letting it work for you. Boom, you fail right there. Step two, iterate together. Use AI to outline, then refine with your voice. Step three, Task delegation. Let AI do time-consuming tasks like transcription, bullet summaries, freeing you to focus on higher level curation and creativity. So those bullet points and the summaries allow you to fill in the spaces with your own thoughts, with your own mindset, right? Number 4 would be to keep oversight. Always review for accuracy, tone, and relevance. So don't just think that everything is correct because ChatGPT or, whatever source you're using said that it's correct. I've had to fact check a few things, and I'm not really relying on ChatGPT like that. I do use it, but I'm old school. You feel me? I like to look shit up. I like to research. I like to pull from different sources to get different perspectives. So, I kind of use AI to expand on that. I'll ask it to give me a bunch of articles, right? And then I'm going through the articles, I'm reading, I'm still taking in that information for myself. Yeah, so that's that. And number 5, y'all, add human flair. Blend facts with your personality, humor, interpretation, and connection to an audience. So remember to, without, losing yourself, right? You use AI, right? Allow it to aid you and get you to where you need to go, but keep your personalization, keep your humor, keep your personality, because people are going to start to notice when things sound a bit robotic or generated. So you want to keep yourself in everything you do. So I hope those 5 steps help you guys to use AI a little bit more. And you can reach out to me at @ZayFiles_. If you want me to send those to you directly, I can do so. But y'all know what that sound means. We've made it to the end of the episode 30. Give yourself a clap. Give me a clap. Nah, y'all know I appreciate it so much. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Zaymo podcast. Y'all know it means a bunch. I can't go without reminding you to follow me at @ZayFiles_ on Instagram, the Zaymo podcast on Instagram. Stay up to date. Make sure y'all don't miss nothing. And yeah, I keep asking y'all, send me those stories. Thank you to the people who've been doing it so far, but is there something going on? And not just in the US, like even for my listeners in Ireland and in the UK and Australia, what's going on out there? I want to know. I want to report on it. Send it to me. All right. But thank y'all so much for tuning into the Zaymo podcast. Your boy loves you and I appreciate you. And until next time, peace.